Alright, response video, another one to Hythloday. Um, part of me just says, yeah, let's let this go already. We're never going to fundamentally agree here at all. And so there's just no point. I guess I could paraphrase it as, look, he has a fundamental philosophy that essentially says, I have license to do whatever the fuck I want. Essentially saying if I lived next to Adolf Hitler and the guy had a legal permit to throw Jews or anything he wanted to into his bonfire, that somehow, through some social contract, I would be obligated to live next door to that. And I'm saying I never signed any such contract, and no, I wouldn't. I could do whatever I want in terms of saying I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to live with this guy. I'm going to go to war with this guy. He's the fucking enemy. He's evil. He's a piece of shit. So just, that's the bottom line. It's this social contract crap. It's a real pointless conversation in my opinion. I'm not terribly interested in it. What I'm interested in is a conversation about, does value have any real substance? And if you're going to tell me it doesn't, that you can just make this shit up, then I'm going to say, I think that's a lie. I think you know better. First, because from your own personal experience you know better. And it's why would I have any, why would it matter then? I mean, we might as well just kill each other. We might as well just do the silliest things. We might just have frickin' lottery. We might as well just watch it on TV. Have a torture people show on TV if it doesn't matter. I mean, this is just a stupid conversation in my opinion. It's just idiotic. He glibly talks as if there's no logic, as if no arguments have been made, and it just, oh, fuck you. I mean, extensive arguments have been made explaining how this is a fundamental part of the biological process and the evolution, 500 million years of sentient life evolving on planet Earth. And to sit there and say that that means nothing, and that humans are the only thing that matter, that came out of this, I mean, that's just so silly. Human opinions. Human opinions. I mean, amazing. So again, the argument is about whether we're going to discover the truth, discover reality, discover the truth of value, or do we just make it up? And I'm saying that the philosopher's job is to discover, not to make up. And if you're just making shit up, you're wasting my fucking time. So he rejects the idea that feelings equal value, that that's what the core, that's at the root of it all. And so even though we know it's a fact, right? We know that I could demonstrate it a zillion ways, but I could demonstrate by just saying, look, if I get the power of law, and I could say, look, if you don't learn how to dance, do the moonwalk, as well as Michael Jackson, in 1 month, we're going to slowly insert a knife into one of your testicles. I think the value equation will be quite obvious. I think in a month you're probably going to be dancing pretty good. It's just the truth, because you know it's goddamn meaningful. You know the suffering is meaningful. So this is just bullshit. This is just all an inane, psychobabble, rationalization conversation defending traditional, subjective notions of reality, the truth of the importance of value. If you just took something, an intelligence, a simple 8th grade intelligence, let's say, without any of the mumbo-jumbo theories about gods and any other kind of bullshit, and just place them on planet Earth and let them observe what's going on, they're going to be able to get it. That the sentient thing is important. It's a huge distinction between a blade of grass and a human being, or a water buffalo. And it's plainly ignorant and idiotic to have to sit there and explain those distinctions. So he calls that Gary Says So. So by saying that, by saying I think this is a non-starter, if you have to explain the difference between a platypus and a blade of grass, and if you claim that that's preposterous to have to do that with an adult, to explain the difference, the significant difference between the conscious platypus and a blade of grass, yeah, come on, you're trolling. You can't be that stupid. to sit there and expect me to give you some sort of logical explanation when it's so fucking obvious in the first place. And I already have given you the logical explanation. Complex neurology creates a phenomenon called sentience, and we personally taste it. To deny your personal tasting of it, to deny the fact that you would go through extreme, arduous efforts to prevent having a knife slowly inserted through one of your testicles, and you would do it because you know that experience is worth avoiding. Like I said, you're just lying in defense of a rationalization that is nothing but an excuse to be an asshole. So anyway, this is just such a bad video, so we're going to jump around, but I remember there was some kind of crap around the 4-minute mark, so I'll go a little bit before 4 minutes. And we'll start there and work our way. I didn't even finish it. I got so pathetically fed up with it, the stupidity of it. Profoundly stupid. Ignorant.
And I say, why? Because I say it doesn't. Okay?
Right, so you're saying why, so the argument is feelings matter, suffering matters, and he's saying why? And I'm saying, well, because I've personally tasted it. Okay, I've personally experienced consciousness, and I'm telling you, it really, really matters. It's a big, huge, gigantic gulf of difference between comfy couch and knife and testicle. Such a difference I can't even describe. Opposite end of the universe kind of difference.
And the message I'm getting is, it does. I know it does. I'm the logical one.
No, I'm saying I'm the sentient one. I gain information by being sentient. I feel. Mammals feel. A substantial number of animals with neurology feel. I know what feelings, I know what sensations are. And I know how I got the sensations, and I didn't get them from being human. I got them a long time in my evolutionary history. This mechanism of a motivating mechanism of feeling has been around a long, long, long time. And for you to dispute that, I think, is incredulous. Incredible.
So what I'm then hearing is, because Gary says so. Yeah?
Yeah, well that's what you're hearing. Like I said, 4,000 videos explaining why I say so, explaining how the brain functions, explaining consciousness and its evolution, going through all of this talk about the primitive lizard brain, the more evolved primate brain, and essentially the human modeling brain. Yeah, just say, oh, yeah, Gary says so. And this is supposed to be respectful conversation. I mean, it's obnoxious lie is all that is. Like, you haven't been provided any logical reasons. You haven't been provided any reason whatsoever. Yeah, you've been provided a ton of fucking evidence, all right, that other organisms in the environment feel, and that their feelings have no rational, you can't make a rational argument saying their feelings don't have reality or substance equal to our own, and that my logical brain is supposed to somehow say there's a difference for no reason. That somehow a Turing machine would be selfish. If I made a Turing machine, it would be selfish. What sense would that make? If I'm making a logic machine, logic, where would, yes, inject me with selfishness to corrupt my logic. What possible value could there be to the motivation of selfishness in doing logic or intelligence? A selfish interest. Could that be anything but a corruption? And you're glorifying the selfish. Fuck.
And I'm trying to probe to find out the reasons why I must accept this.
Well, the reasons are just purely logical. Again, I know I don't like feeling bad. I know I don't like a knife in my testicle. If I see some other testicle connected to a conscious brain, I'm going to figure out that it's not going to like having a knife in it either. It's fucking logic, retard. Sorry, but I mean, this is just too fucking stupid. It really is just too fucking stupid. I mean, there's a point where I'm not going to sit there and, I mean, somebody could explain why, okay, you know, Jews aren't second class or third class or no class human beings in Nazi Germany. But in a way, all you want to do is take a brick and smash the motherfucking Nazi over the head. Because it's like, this is too stupid a conversation. You can't throw Jews in fucking goddamn ovens. Oh, gee, that's too complicated for you? I have to give you a whole fucking complex explanation? Well, if I have to do that, then humans already fail colossally. If human beings need that explained to them, then they're already too colossal a motherfucking piece of shit, alright, to deserve anything but being pole-drived into the fucking dirt. You're too stupid. And I mean stupid in the sense that your brain is owned by some kind of selfish, narcissistic insanity that makes it dysfunctional. You might as well not have a brain, okay, because it's so polluted by your narcissism. Alright, well, maybe we'll play a little tiny bit of this.
So, I'm going to deal with this problematic thing in the abstract to try and make myself clear in the abstract sense as the thought experiment previously.
Oh, whatever, this is boring. So he does this Q thing from Star Trek, which doesn't mean anything anyway, right? Gods competing with each other. And again, even if I was in a universe with another God, another Gary, somebody just equal, exactly like myself, except he said, he was a nihilist, and he said, it doesn't matter if I make torture games. I can torture animals all day long and it doesn't matter. Well, obviously me and him are going to go to war. Okay, there's no resolution to this. There's no middle ground. I'm not going to find this acceptable. You torture animals for fun, and we're going to live together? No, we're not going to live together. Fuck you. I'm going to try to throw you off the lifeboat. I'm going to try to get you. I'm going to war with you because you're a menace to anything I value. Everything I value. I mean, it'd be just idiotic to sign some social contract. Fuck you. Fuck you. I mean, it's just insane. Again, you know, he just will not acknowledge that humans aren't gods, that humans aren't above it all and special, and the only thing that can create value by their opinion. Again, they have to have the opinion that it matters, and then what matters isn't the thing, but they're now made it their welfare. So if you're afraid of something, your fear is somehow valuable. The thing that made you afraid maybe isn't, but your fear definitely is. And that's the only way to look at value. No, that is not the only way to look at value. Sometimes we care for good reasons, and sometimes we care for stupid reasons. And those distinctions are motherfucking important, and that's what philosophers are supposed to goddamn point out. When you're caring for an idiotic psychological reason, and when you're caring because it's rational. A rational fear versus an irrational fear. A rational love versus an irrational love. Appreciation or respect, you know, whatever word you want to use for the word love. They exist. There are distinctions between these two things. An intelligent philosophical conversation has to concede that the psychological crap is just that, psychological crap. That the person killed in 9/11 by the airplane, those people aren't more special than the people killed by drunk drivers the very same day. Yet we irrational, through psychological bullshit, make a distinction. That somehow this life was much more important than that life. And it's not rational, it's not reasonable, it's nonsense. Inheritance, it's nonsense. That kid is better than that kid because it was born to that vagina. This one should own the economic system and have power and control and a huge safety net, and this kid should dance on the tightrope 5 million miles up in the atmosphere in a blowing wind without any net, merely because of what vagina it fell out of, and that's supposed to be rational? Sorry, no logic, no rationality, complete crap, complete selfish, narcissistic, egoistic crap. Alright, anyway, so we'll jump ahead. Let's see, psychological inhibitions to reason. Let's see, I wonder why I put that there. Psychological inhibitions to reason. Well, that's what he's full of anyway. Equality. So he does this equality thing. So that's his premise. So he's saying, I walk into the room and I say, first do no harm. And that's my first agreement with each other. Like, I'm going to walk up to the other guy and we're going to make an agreement. You know, I'm living in one half of the universe, he's living in the other half. Our two halves are now mixing with each other. Now we have to make an agreement to the mixing. And I'm just going to say, first, do no harm. Alright, let's see if we can agree on that. He turns that into euthanizing things or something. I'm like, well, if you don't create them, you don't have to euthanize them. So I'm for not creating harm, not fixing harm after you already made it. So he doesn't even get that argument. He doesn't even paraphrase me correctly. He didn't even paraphrase me correctly in saying, first, do no harm. He said, first, don't procreate, and then he talked about killing things, which didn't make any sense. Again, it's the same bullshit. He doesn't even understand what antinatalism is and ephilism is, which is don't make the problem, then you don't have to fix the problem. Well, he won't even figure that part out. He thinks, you know, stopping you from giving birth is killing you. Anyway, what if the other Q tortures stuff? Yeah, so again, so in your world, Hythloday, you walk up to your other Q, and your other Q tortures puppies all day. I mean, tortures them. Yeah, it's not your puppy, but it's puppies. You're just going to say, fine, okay, you do your thing. I'm okay with that, no problem. Subjective. I'm saying that's fail. If your brain can't figure out there's a problem, you failed. You're not logical, you're not reasonable, you're not sensible, you're an asshole. The sooner the universe is rid of you, the better. You're a menace. An insidious, invidious menace. Alright, somewhere around this 11:20 mark we have something interesting.
Yeah, that there's nobody got some innate speciality to us. Yeah. And
so he's saying we're all equal. And so my argument is, what do you mean? We're not equally smart. We're not equally qualified. Our opinions certainly aren't equally qualified. Some people aren't qualified to build a nuclear power plant. And some people aren't qualified to even drive a car. So what do you mean we're all equal? I mean, it's an idiotic starter. All opinions are equal? No, they're not all equal. All theories of reality are equal? No, they're not all equal. I'm sorry, they're just not. You want to say I have to believe they are? That some theory of Islam and snake hell and all this crap, I have to give that as much respect as evolution, even though they have a ton of different evidence supporting them? That I somehow have to make up the lie that they're equal theories? They're equally credible? They're not equally credible.
First of all, we have to, we're going to have to form a body to adjudicate between us the agreements we make.
Well, that's going to work out when there's only two of you, so, I don't know, you're even breaking your own thought experiment.
And that basic principle is the first enshrined principle. And the Inmendham say, no. First of all, first principle is make no sentience. If we make something that does this and reacts this way, then it's made value, and that means we have to basically euthanize it.
There. See, I mean, where does that come from, right? So again, you can't just be fair to the argument, which is, don't make it. Right, that's the argument. Instead, you have to turn it, well, if we make it anyway, well, then you've already violated the agreement, haven't you? So if we agree that this is going to be the statement, you don't make the problem, then why are you bringing up the fact that now we have to kill something or clean up something? And again, I wouldn't say you have to euthanize it, you have to sterilize it. So again, you're just misparaphrasing my argument to pieces here. You're just mocking it and ridiculing it by misparaphrasing it. You're not making my argument. You're making some other argument, and you're making it very badly and to your own advantage. So again, why should I engage in civil conversation with somebody who reverts to this every time? That stopping somebody from reproducing is killing somebody or taking something. Again, if the need to do it is entirely frivolous and has no basis, if I'm just saying don't open the door to harm without good reason, I mean, if that's the standard, you have to have a good reason, and the good reason can't be because you're a selfish cunt and you want something to play with. You want to exploit it for your pleasure, I mean, even by Kantian logic, it's pretty clear that it would be a violation to create human beings to be your slaves. And essentially people are creating their babies to be slaves to their ego and their narcissism. So wouldn't that be a violation of Kantian ethics to have a kid for any other reason than some altruistic one? And we know nobody's doing that on planet Earth. Are they?
Because we would be all powerful. And it'd be like, whoa, just let's just start off at the beginning. I mean, I don't know where you got this idea from, and I don't know where, it just seems like you plucked it out of the blue, this concept.
Well, again, it only takes a couple of minutes to explain that there's this thing called sentience in the universe. You don't experience it. Okay, now I really have a problem. So if you're saying the other Q has never had a feeling, doesn't know that having a knife in its testicle would be absolutely horrible, can't imagine a bad day. Well, if you're saying that the other Q is completely ignorant of what sentience is, well, yeah, then I have my work cut out for me. But if he's experienced pain and pleasure, I'm not going to have any problem explaining to him why pain and pleasure is important. Now, explaining to him that he's a narcissistic, selfish, self-obsessed sociopath, yeah, that diagnosis is going to be pretty clear. And that's the diagnosis you fit the category of. You clearly can't imagine anything else mattering but you.
A little interlude here. I mean, I'm assuming that Inmendham is for,
Yeah, a little tedious here. He's for... Mom. I guess I should jump.
the humane cutting down of animals.
Oh, yeah, well, this is a whole separate subject. Yeah, again, the point is anti-natalism. It's about procreation, okay? I don't care about all this other peripheral crap. I'm talking about the ethics of a human being having babies. That's fundamentally the subject we're discussing, and whether they have an ethical right. There's two elements to that ethical right. There's the absolute argument about value and whether it is a zero-sum game or whether you can actually accomplish something by doing this motherfucking bullshit. And then there's the consent argument. You either deal with those two arguments or I just don't see the point in this, okay? It's not about killing things. It's not about suicide. It's not about all this other crap. It's about not making the goddamn mess in the first place. I'm sorry you can't figure that out. I've only said it over and over and over and over again that that's not what I'm talking about. I really don't think the solution is to fix the problem after you made it. I think that the solution is to cure the disease. Don't make the nuclear power plant, then we don't have to have a conversation about how you clean up radiation.
Of all the scenarios, if I was to postage, Gary monies to...
Oh, whatever. This is stupid. Yeah, he's going to give me money to go kill cats. Yes, I've euthanized lots of cats. It's very expensive in this country, so yeah, that's the downside. But I have no problem euthanizing cats, okay? But again, back to the psychological argument. It's not my psychological obligation to do this Band-Aid thing. To sit there in the fucking... triage center, okay, hacking off legs and putting band-aids on wounds and sopping up blood and doing all that crap. It's disgusting and ugly that somebody would even have to do that in the fucking first place. The goddamn thing to do is to prevent it from happening in the fucking first place, okay? Just like the victims of Fukushima, the idea was that it shouldn't happen in the fucking goddamn first place because people should have an obligation to do things that are fail-safe rather than risk plentiful. Alright, so if you can't do it right, don't do it at all is the argument. So again, I'm not really interested in having an argument about the fact that you think I have to explain how to clean up a mess rather than prevent a mess. I'm saying let's prevent a mess, goddamn motherfucker, and I've been really kind of explicit about that, and you keep wanting to talk about cleaning up messes. Well, fuck you for that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not the philosophy I'm talking about. It's not the subject I'm talking about. So fuck you for keep dragging the subject there for your own convenience. Yes, but I'm all for euthanizing all stray cats, okay? It's a horrible blight. It's a terrible menace. The animals aren't served well by it, and doing it once and getting it done would be the right thing to do. But if you're going to keep letting the procreation engine keep producing new victims, then it's absolutely stupid to do. Because you're not going to solve the fucking problem. Okay? The cure for the disease is to stop the reckless procreation of the animals in the fucking first place, you stupid fuck.
To inject.
Anyway, 14, I think there's something, so we'll jump there. Fucker.
Entities in Star Trek. Next generation Star Trek.
Oh, fuck. I didn't realize it was this slow.
But once you recognise the basic equality, you have to recognise a basic equality.
Yeah, again, so you're recognizing it based on a completely irrational human bigotry. And I'm saying, well, look, if you're not going to include all these relatives of humans, all these semi-humans, then I'm not going to have a conversation with you, okay? So if you're going to get into a war with me and say the white Aryans are the only people that matter and everybody else is disposable, I'm not going to have a political conversation about you about how the world's going to look in the future. I'm not going to have I'm not going to make any deals or arrangements with you until you can see that all these other things have a stake in our conversation. So if you're going to leave all these stakeholders out of your conversation about what our rights are and what our agreements are, I'm saying that's a non-starter. All right? So until you include animals in your design of what the universe is going to look like and what we're going to agree to do to the universe, then there's no fucking point in having the conversation.
For people to set their own purposes, like, for example...
Let people set their own purposes, and if their purpose is to torture something else, exploit something else, use up its capacity to suffer, to feed on it, essentially, I should say, okay, that's fine with me. Why should I do that if I think it's wrong? If I know it to be wrong, if I know it as much as I can know anything on this goddamn planet, I know it would be wrong for me to have a knife in my testicle right now, and I can figure out that it'd be wrong for any other conscious testicle to have a fucking knife in it. I know it. You're not gonna convince me of that truth being a illusionary or a fallacy or fake or nonsense. How the fuck are you going to disprove that simple logic, that my testicles aren't special testicles? How are you going to do that, shithead? You have absolutely no hope of explaining to me how it goddamn matters, you stupid shit. So this conversation is idiotic. You won't accept the most basic premise, which is knife in testicle is fundamentally and intrinsically and ultimately and absolutely bad, and there's just no other way to rationally look at it. Rationally look at it.
I like to rearrange rocks in circles, then...
Okay, he's doing this rocks in circle crap, so we'll jump ahead to around the 18 mark. Just to explain, his argument was that the one cue has rocks in circles, the other cue has rocks in squares. And like so here he's created a thought experiment that has absolutely nothing at risk, right? So it has no parallel to the real world where real stakes are involved, where our dispute, let's say, with Islam, all right, the excuse to go into Afghanistan wasn't just 9/11. It was the fact that, yeah, they basically are imprisoning women in that country. So we used a lot of other scapegoat kind of bullshit, yeah, excuses to go into Afghanistan because we found lots wrong with Afghanistan. Okay, it wasn't just that they did 9/11, you know, that they helped do it through hiding Saddam Hussein. No, I mean Osama bin Laden. but that they, blah, 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 had all these other vice crimes they were committing. So again, there's no point in a thought experiment where two Qs come up to each other, and one of them says, well, I like to hold up my index finger on my right hand, and the other one, I like to hold up my index finger on my left hand, and that's their dispute. I mean, if that's going to, that thought experiment goes absolutely nowhere. That's right, because nothing's at stake. Okay, so again, I'm not stupid enough to think nothing's at stake. Okay, you think the universe is nothing at stake. You think it doesn't matter what the fucking human race does. You think it doesn't matter what happens to animals on goddamn planet Earth. You don't think that the goddamn planet Earth mattered before humans showed up to say, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I mean something. So in my opinion, you have a ludicrous, insane, batshit crazy fucking philosophy.
What I call Kantian logic of this basic seeing of equality, of undermining the subscription to the idea.
Right, equality of human caring and human feelings and human welfare. Just completely ignorant of the reality. And it's all God-based. Okay, let's remember, Kantian, Christian-based ethics. Okay, fuck that.
That we form a collective and figure out how to be cooperative.
So again, yesterday you argued that, well, don't label me with that democratic crap or that majority rule crap, and now you're saying a collective. So again, which one is it? You either care about the truth or you care about some idiotic social contract. And I'm saying, yes, as pragmatic, we have to concede to the social contract because we're doomed otherwise. We can know that for a fact, okay? If we all just act on our... If we make murder legal tomorrow, we know a lot of people are going to get goddamn murdered. All right? There's just no way around it. It's just a fact. Because we hate each other. We have absolutely contempt for each other's values. We have contempt for each other's behavior and people's disregard for politenesses and rudenesses all over the fucking goddamn place. We have lots of reason and we have lots of means to kill each other if we make it legal.
Live together cooperatively, in the sense of just the basic management of our interactions, such that we don't have to go to war.
Yeah. Again, and we haven't even been able to accomplish that. Okay, so we are always having to go to war, it seems. And there's every prospect that eventually that war is going to escalate into something catastrophic. And, just demonstrating the fail of this whole let's compromise the truth and pretend that we can have diametrically opposed values and live together. That's just not possible.
I say this is what nature has to have figured out, and I speak metaphorically. This logic kind of encoding in the DNA structure.
Right. Well, this logic kind of encoding in the DNA structure. So he's really just talking about silly emotional crap. Look, it's a modeling device. Okay, our brain is a modeling device. You want to make it into something else? Go ahead, but that's fine. I think it's bullshit. Okay, it's a modeling device. It models realities and then compares them. Now you can model accurately or you can model inaccurately. Okay, you can model from a subjective point of view or you can model based on objectively observed truth and fact. And that's the distinction. I'm saying that you keep bending conversation into this idiotic and nonsensical, human-focused, human-oriented, silly model where humans are the only conscious stakeholder and where we can't know anything as an absolute truth, and so we have to just subjectively ask everybody, do you like vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream, and then we'll declare vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream king of the universe. Wherein I'm saying is that yes, our feelings, our reactions matter, but why we react doesn't matter. Okay, so your opinion of vanilla and chocolate is fucking irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant is whether you're pleased or displeased, whether you're comfortable or uncomfortable, and your comfort is no more important than anything else's comfort. That's where the equality exists. We have equality of comfort state. Okay, we don't have equality of intellectual state. Your models can be absolute nonsense, and I'm declaring them so.
Eventually, through mutation, has to have the mutation which has this tendency to
Again, I just think this is a wrong way to look at how our brains work. Our brains are motivational devices that contain the emotions, the visceral reactions, the intuition, the desires, the drives, and then we have an intellectual device, a rational device that does the modeling, like allows a wolf to run through the trees without running into a tree. It's a logic machine. It attempts to model reasonably and accurately. That's the only way it'd be any useful. Our brain wouldn't be of any fucking use if we modeled the world wrong. Okay? And the only thing you're doing is squashing those two together and saying my subjective psychology is somehow part of the logic model. And it really isn't. It can inform the logic model, but it can't own the logic model. So you're just perverting it. Again, it's like creating a Turing machine with a hard dick. It wouldn't make any sense. You're going to create something that's supposed to be a thinking machine, and you're going to give it a hard dick, a self-interest, and then say it's going to do logic. No, it's going to do subjective, selfish rationalizations. It's not going to do logic anymore.
To generate a neural structure which can figure this out, yeah, it's probably not encoded in DNA, this understanding, but it's something.
Yeah, it really isn't. Okay, you can be a physical bigot. Okay, I don't like rats personally. Okay, viscerally, I just can't get along with them in a physical way. Okay, they're unattractive to me. Okay, in a sensibilities kind of way. But I know intellectually what they are. Okay, and that intellectual perception is clear and solid and respectful. And it completely disables any visceral reaction that says, ooh, a rat. And my brain says, no, a sentient, intricate, complex creature. You know, so this is just bullshit. You're saying our bigotry should own us. I'm saying exactly the opposite. Our intellect should own us.
Neurons informing relationships, and you know, it can more easily recognize or less easily recognize, and that the DNA.
Well, look, you can't understand that if you, let's say let's say you watch me make a food you really love. Okay, so I'm making chocolate mousse or some kind of yummy dessert, and you see me put arsenic in the food when I'm mixing it. Now, even though you have a visceral, okay, your stomach saying, chocolate mousse, your brain knows poison. And so you're able to overcome the visceral, innate desire to eat the food because you know it's poisoned. You can't understand the difference between how that makes a difference, how knowledge changes perception. Even though it doesn't change your emotional reaction, it changes your understanding of the circumstance. And that's what philosophy is supposed to be a conversation about, is the highest order understanding, not the lowest order understanding.
Process, the evolutionary process, can make a neuron which is more able more quickly to figure this out, and a computational neuronal relationship Turing computer that can figure this out quicker or slower, you see. So
well, again, a Turing computer that what? It has a self-interest programmed into it. By whom? For what purpose? For what agenda? So again, that's where this would all fail. If you gave the job of analyzing what's going on planet Earth to a true Turing intelligence that didn't have some personal interest, I'm sure it could deduce this obvious logic that it's about the feeling things. It's about how much harm you're creating. This seems quite obvious. It's what you're paying for things. Okay, harm is the price you pay, and the value is the thing you're pulling off the shelf. In terms of a pleasure, and that's the economy here. It's really not any more complicated than that, and you're just saying that I'm just going to discount all the cash that's paid in animal suffering, those prices are irrelevant, okay? And that to me is just an unpremised, unjustifiable rationalization, and that's all it is. It's just excuse making. You just like that truth better. It has no merit. It has no logic. It's as stupid and idiotic as believing Bugs Bunny is Jesus Christ.
The further we get to a self-learning computer, a more efficient Turing machine, this machine in itself, playing its game through game theory of life and evolution, has to figure out what I can tell you I see as a pure element.
Yeah, whatever. Game theory has to do with interests, okay? But again, it's not always something else's interest. So again, it's a self-interest argument. You have to do the argument from somebody who understands that there's more than just the self-interest. There's the group interest, and then there's the entire game interest. So again, I'm just going to argue that the philosophical conversation has to be about the entire game, as big as you can see it to be, or it's really an idiotic conversation, because you're not going to understand it by looking at the corners. You have to look at the whole game. You can't look at individual interest and have a conversation about reality, because you're not going to find it in the individual's interest. We'll jump to 24 here. Oh, God, I hate this guy.
No. Say, oh, we value pain and there's intrinsic value and stuff. I could say that's just the empathy talking.
Right, so again, that's the argument he's making. It's not that I'm informed by having personal experience with sentience. No, I'm just making some visceral, I like chocolate pudding, I like chocolate pudding, I like chocolate pudding. So I'm not acknowledging animal sentience for some sort of logical, rational reason where I'm conceding its existence. He's claiming it's just because I have some sort of perverse emotional attachment, some horniness for them. Yeah, what can I say except, fuck you, that's just nonsense.
Amongst them, you know, and spread it. There's no fundamental truth that ought to govern it.
Well, I think there is a fundamental truth, and I think it's called evolution, and I think it's just a demonstrable, provable fact that there is no categorical differences, that you can't make them up without inventing a god to give yourself some sort of superiority. You know, quite frankly, your testicle is no better than a lion's testicle or a chimpanzee's testicle, and you're just full of shit if you think so.
They then develop the very same self-consciousness and willpower.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not even going to play with that kind of baby talk.
So to speak. An agency that I have.
Yeah, again, agency, another baby word. Agency. Oh, I want. Yeah, and we're going to pretend because animals don't speak the same language we speak, they're not saying I want. When the cat meows for its food, it's not saying I want. It doesn't have agency. Fuck you, you're an idiot.
There's nothing to say that they can't break free from that empathy and start to choose their own.
Well, whatever. I start to choose their own purpose. Break three again. So he makes the false premise, the false accusation that this is some sort of just emotionally based perception, that it's just completely like a food choice, that there's nothing I'm recognizing that's fundamental. I'm not seeing the character of the human in the animal in the sense that I'm just recognizing the fact that, like me, it's sentient, like me, it's in trouble, like me, it's enduring pain and suffering, and like me, I wouldn't enjoy it, it's not enjoying it. No, that logic has nothing to do with this. He's just going to accuse us of being, oh, he might as well accuse me of actually thinking stuffed animals have a welfare state. He's just turning it, just because I wouldn't throw a stuffed animal in the garbage can because of purely emotional reasons, because it's just uncomfortable, that somehow that's the philosophy I'm arguing for. So that's the slander this guy will commit, That's the insulting, degrading, nonsensical counter-argument he'll make. It's just an accusation. You're just emotionalizing animal suffering. No, I'm acknowledging it, shithead, unlike you. I'm acknowledging its fucking existence, you stupid cunt. You selfish, nihilistic, motherfucking greedy fucker.
On purposes.
You're fucking exploiting this pig.
Based upon the very same reasoning that allowed me as a Q to break free.
Yeah, whatever. So just do your thought experiment, fine. So let's just make your Q into a Jew hater. Okay, so you meet another Q, you're the other Q, instead of making squares and circles, the other Q burns Jews every day. Now explain how you do your fucking negotiating. Go ahead, explain to me how you do your negotiating.
So the question posed here really is just simply, why what you said?
Why? The why again is just fundamentally logical, okay? I'm sentient, I experience sentience, I'm informed by my sentience, I see sentience in other feeling organisms all over the planet Earth. I know from biological evidence that their sentience is just as real as mine because that's where mine came from. And that the only thing different about me and them is that I have this modeling brain that can do vocabulary, and through vocabulary I can go to high school and grammar school and I can learn and I can manipulate symbols and concepts and then have a complex conversation about reality where an animal can only have a rudimentary conversation about reality. And that's really the only fundamental difference. And that if maybe we could slow down the maturation of a chimpanzee or something, it could learn language, and then you'd be fucked, right? Because then you'd have to explain why you tortured them for decades or centuries. You know, I mean, you think there's this fucking goddamn human conversation thing is where the value is, instead of recognizing that, no, it's the goddamn knife in your testicle, motherfucker. And if you'll let me stick the knife in your goddamn testicle, I can prove it to you. Okay, if you don't know what pain is, I can show you some.
If I don't see any logic underpinning the statement that pain and suffering scales intrinsic to sentience by the relabeling of saying it has value.
So he's saying it's a relabeling. Oh, I don't even know why we have the word then. Why don't we just throw the word sentience out and just say human opinions are the only thing that have value? Why even bother with this idea of feeling at all? And just say that when a human says he feels, it matters. They just have to say they feel. They don't even actually have to have the actual feelings. Because if we're going to discount feelings in animals, then you might as well just discount them existing in humans too. And then you might as well just say people just make up opinions. And if you're going to be that fucking nihilistic, then again, what's the fucking point of even having the motherfucking conversation? Because you're saying nothing's at stake. And I'm saying, fuck you, you're insane. A ton of suffering is at fucking stake here. We're either going to have a terribly inefficient car produced in the end, or a wonderfully efficient car in the end. Okay, you're either going to produce a car that gets 900 miles to a gallon, or you're going to produce a car that gets 1 foot to 900 gallons. That's the reality here. There's going to be a measure of motherfucking performance, and you're frankly dragging our performance down. Okay, you're a huge liability to the fucking goddamn productivity and efficiency and function of the goddamn human race. You're a degrade of our intelligence and a degrade of our goddamn function, and the sooner you fall out of this goddamn boat, the better.
That relabeling obviously attaches purpose, and that you have to regard it. But I don't see...
relabeling. He's just saying it's a relabeling. No, it's a fundamental core accusation, okay? Just as you are going to be in the position of fundamentally telling the other Q that Jews are equally human, all right? And he's going to argue something else. And you're going to have some counter-argument besides your, well, look, they look like a human, they act like humans, and he's going to argue to them, no, they got horns and they're greedy motherfuckers and, you know, they're vagabonds and they eat grass. You know, he's going to make up his little rationalizations to say they don't count. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going to win the argument with that fucker. And you're not going to want to agree to disagree, are you? Are you just going to agree to disagree? Huh? Are you? Is that what you're going to do as a big hero in World War II? You would just say, well, let's all agree to goddamn disagree. Would that be what old Hythloday does? Agree to disagree?
If we stick with pain and suffering scales, that matter of fact that sentience has a pain and suffering scale, I don't see how that fact, how along comes with it any obligation.
So again, you're doing the mathematics. There's positive numbers and negative numbers, and he doesn't see any obligation in the very function of positive and negative. And that it's quite obvious that you want the car that gets the 900 miles to a gallon. The bad is less, the good is more, versus the world where the bad is more and the good is less. He's saying we can't logically understand, he can't logically understand any imperative built into that circumstance. You have fail and you have success, and he can't see the reason why you would understand there to be a difference between failing and succeeding. Yeah, right. Sure he can't. So anyway, I haven't watched this part. I might do it later. But I mean, this is too pathetic a conversation. Yeah, it's fundamental to this problem is this idea that, you can't argue. The fundamental premise is where we are defeated. There's no point in having a conversation beyond the fundamental premise, because I cannot compromise with your values. I will not coexist with evil. Okay? Just as I don't think you're going to agree to disagree with living next to Adolf Hitler. I just don't. I think you're lying if you're saying you're willing to do that. I think that's a fucking lie. I think you would say, no, I'm not going to accept that. Alright? And I'm not going to accept your values. There's no fucking way. It makes no fucking goddamn sense. And the only way you can convince me is you'd have to take away my own personal experience with consciousness and then claim somehow, make some sort of logical statement explaining how evolution isn't true and animals are faking it. They're not really conscious. They don't really scream. None of that means anything. They're just neurologically reacting for no reason. They're not motivated by hunger. They're not motivated by horniness. They're not motivated by passion. No, they're just like bugs. They're faking it. Well, fuck you. I'm not having that conversation either. I'm not going to waste my fucking time. I'm just going to pull my, my Magnum and do a Dirty Harry thing and say, do you feel lucky, fucker? Because one of us is going to the fucking boneyard.